Get going here in just about 10 seconds here. And good morning, Rim Country. Happy Monday to everyone out there. Yes, it is Monday, but a lot of you probably have the day off, 4th of July weekend, and it's been a beautiful weekend up here in Rim Country. A little warm, but still beautiful, beautiful weather. Looking forward to a great 4th of July celebration tomorrow in Green Valley Park. A lot of activities going on. We'll be telling you more about that today. Also, you can follow that and find out more information on our KRIM FM Facebook page. And you can actually watch right now on our KRIM FM Facebook page our Community Spotlight program, where this morning we're being joined on the telephone by author Paul Johnson, and he's going to be at this year's 8th Annual Payson Author and Artist Festival at the Mazatzal Hotel Casino on July 15th. Good morning, Paul. How are you doing?
Good morning, Chris. I'm doing really well.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us today and to talk about yourself, being an author, your books, and also, again, so people can just hear more about the Payson Author and Artist Festival. Same as the Payson Book Festival, but this year they are adding artists to the festival, so there'll be local artists out there from Rim Country artists as well joining in, so should be a great event. I have to ask, Paul, have you been to the Payson Book Festival before?
No, this is going to be my first time. I've done a few others, but I haven't been over to Payson. I'm a relatively new author, so I'm kind of just beginning here in the last year or so to hit the trail with my books, so to speak.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so how long have you been an author?
So I started writing, actually I'm a fluid writer.
Oh, okay.
I was a tour guide up the Grand Canyon in the Sedona area, some of the native reservations in northern Arizona for a few years, and then COVID hit, shut us down, and had to find something to do while in quarantine like everybody else, and just started writing a book about a character who's a tour guide, younger guy than myself.
Wow. So, yeah, that's interesting. Did you have a desire or an interest before COVID, really, to be an author?
Well, I've always kind of dabbled. I never did anything to the point of getting anything published, but I always kind of tinkered around in my spare time. When I had a career, I retired early a few years ago. That's when I became a tour guide, so I had a little bit more time. So not really, but I guess I did some professional writing as part of my earlier career.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. It is interesting to hear about all the different authors and sort of their journey, you know, how they started writing. Seems like a lot of authors, they maybe started at an earlier age, but then there's some that we've interviewed over the years, like yourself, that you know, started a little bit later in life, and it wasn't something that you know, maybe they were thinking about, you know, in their younger years, but it just sort of happened, and you know, they started writing books. So now, what type of books do you write?
So it's a mystery series. It's called the Sedona Chief Mysteries, and my first book was Tale of the Broken Spoke. It was released in February of 2022. And then my second one, Whitewater Honeymoon, was just released this last February. So they are, like I said, the character is a tour guide, but you know, the mystery series, so he has this enigmatic, kind of mysterious past to him. I don't quite know what he is, but that kind of backstory develops over the course of those two books, so you learn more about the character. But he, along with his friend, who's a half Mayan character up in the Sedona area, you know, they're leading these private tours, and they have a cast of characters that come and go with their tours, as well as some of the, you know, the colorful locals, I guess you would call it, that we have in Sedona, pop in and out of the book. And they, uncover one mystery after another. Somebody dies, somebody disappears, something happens out at the Grand Canyon, Whitewater Honeymoon. My second book is kind of blends, it's historical fiction, so it blends a 1928 story of Glenn and Bessie Hyde, who rafted the Colorado River, with a current day tour that Skip and his friend are leading. And then at the end, they kind of dovetail and come together, bring the two stories together. So, in a nutshell, that's kind of what they are.
So now, do you reside in Sedona?
I do. So I live in the village of Oak Creek.
Okay.
I lived there for 7 years. Always been coming to Arizona though for 20-some plus years. So I've heard the stories, I've learned the stories. As a tour guide, I spend a lot of time after I moved here, even before really, kind of studying up and boning up and learning Arizona history. So you'll find a lot about Arizona history, geology, ethnology, biology, different subjects are going to be woven into my book. So they're very, very Arizona and particularly northern Arizona based.
No, that sounds good. So people that love the area, or maybe they visited the area, reading your books, they could probably learn quite a bit about the area just from the stories and what.
Absolutely, because I also. I just kind of scratched the surface, but I try to be very respectful, but I touch on some of the native cultures as well. And including more special interest of mine is on Sinawa culture, the old native culture that was here before the current tribes. So I blend some of those stories. And in fact, the book I'm starting to work on now, which will be the third book in the series, really it kind of takes place in partly in Mexico, down in the Yucatan area, because my Mayan character, it kind of highlights him. And then pretty much finished that, expect that to be out probably by the end of the year. And the one I'm starting to work on now is really going to weave together a story from the Sinawa era, along with my current day characters.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
A lot of history I weave into my books.
And I was looking at the cover of your first book, Broken Spoke, and it looks like Bell Rock.
Yeah, so it's Bell Rock. So it's I'm kind of I wouldn't call it a tongue in cheek, but I do use a lighter tone with my books and my characters. So they're a lot of fun as well as a mystery. And one of the side stories is kind of this irreverent reverend street preacher who comes along. He's really a con man. So he's in Sedona and he's trying to make some money along with some of his deacons, and he's setting up a trip and a leap off of Bell Rock, make connection with an alien spaceship. So it's not a sci-fi, that's kind of a sideline story, kind of jokey, and my character gets kind of runs into clash with him. The main focus of that book, however, is antiquity looting from a Native American site.
My parents moved to the village of Oak Creek in 1990. I joined the Air Force and they moved out from Pennsylvania, and their house is on Jacks Canyon Road, back there in Pine Valley. So it's just my mom and my brother now that are there, but it's just such a beautiful area, so pretty.
Yeah, we live back in behind Ace Hardware. I'm sure you know where Ace Hardware is. So,
it's
so at Bell Rock just about every day. I go, and actually out the window I write from too. So.
And then Lee Mountain is a real gorgeous mountain in that area as well. So you have a few two books right now, and a third one on the way.
Third one's up. Well, it's finished. It's final edit is done. I'm getting ready to send it to the lady I work with down in Mesa who does my publishing for me. And it'll probably be out end of year, maybe January, somewhere in that time frame.
Nice. So you'll have your two books, Broken Spoke and Whitewater Honeymoon, for sale at the book festival?
They will. They'll both be for sale at the book festival. I've got it set up so I got the little QR codes as well. So if you're into the don't want the paperback, which is what I'll have available. If you want prefer an e-reader or an e-book, you'll just be able to scan that code and you can purchase it online there too. Everything I have is going to be on Amazon. It's going to be on Barnes and Noble. Both books are in paperback and the ebook version. Third one will be the same once it comes out. All the other online retailers you can find as well. There's so many I don't even know what they all are anymore. It gets loaded onto.
That's true. And I want to let people know that you can find out more information about Paul and all the other authors that are going to be at the Payson Author and Artist Festival by going to the website paysonbookfestival.org. On the website, you'll again see a complete list of all the authors that'll be in attendance, schedule of events, and just more information about the book festival, the Author and Artist Festival. Again, that is July 15th from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the Mazatzal Hotel and Casino in the ballroom. Also, on that site, there's a link to artists or authors' websites as well. So Paul's website is sedonachi.com, and as you said, Paul, you just can click on the book, either of his books, and if you'd like to order those, it takes you to a link right to Amazon, so you can get the ebook version or the paperback.
And you can also, on my website, I encourage everybody to look at that. Try to put some useful information in there. You can also sign up for my readers list, so you would be notified by email of any promotions, future events. I'm going to be down in Scottsdale in October. Future events, blog posts. I do have a blog. You can sign up for my blog as well. So a lot of information on there about me and my writing.
Nice. So, how long were you a tour guide at the Grand Canyon?
7 years.
7 years, wow.
7 years, minus the time that it was closed for COVID, not the Grand Canyon, but the tour company I worked for.
Mm-hmm. And how did you get into that?
Well, it's an interesting story. So I love my history, so I was kind of looking for something to do. We'd moved out here. I'd retired from my career. And actually, I'll be totally honest with you, I was looking for a lamp. I bought a new house out here, and I was on Craigslist looking for a lamp. I didn't know they had help wanted ads. I tapped on the help wanted tab, and down the list was a tour guide for, can I say the company?
Oh, yes. Yeah, sure.
Road Scholar. So it's an elderly ROAD. It's an international travel company for mature travelers, 55 and older. So I did week-long tours, started doing there, and they give you a lot of information, but then you have to go out and learn a lot of information yourself. Already knew the information, so I've gone to Grand Canyon, taken probably 20 trips a year up there with groups of 20 to 30 people out to the Wallapai Nation, parts of Navajo Nation, Montezuma Castle, of course, in the valley, different places in Sedona, even up on the Hopi Mesas a couple of times with different tour groups.
Wow. So you averaged, or you did about 20 tours a year? So
Probably did about 15, 16,
okay.
maybe. And we would do 2 seasons, spring and fall, so it was kind of seasonal before, kind of avoided the summer when it was too hot. So I did spring and fall. Spring, of course, being from late February until close to the end of May was our season, and then fall was the September, October, and early November. So I got to see the canyon. Fortunately, got to see the canyon in all kinds of different conditions. And we used to do a drive down Diamond Creek out of the Wallapai Nation down to the Colorado River, which is a trip that most people in Arizona, most people don't know exists. It's the only other place other than Leesburg where you can drive all the way to the Colorado River in this house.
Mm-hmm. So I need to ask, where did you move from to come to Arizona?
Oh, I've been all over. So I was born in Illinois, but I spent my career in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
So
A little bit different out west.
a little bit different. Like I said, we've been coming and vacationing and traveling out west for 20 years, well, almost 20 years before we finally moved here. So we knew it was just a matter of time before we ended up here.
Gotcha. So have you had a chance, especially since retiring or leaving the tour guide business, to travel around Arizona?
Yeah, traveled quite a bit around Arizona and try to get out on weekends, go different places, different old stops along Route 66, Hobler, Winslow, out the Interstate 40 corridor, the parks out there. Been over to Payson, down south, Phoenix, all around Phoenix, Tucson, down around the Mission areas, even down into Mexico a little bit.
So since you've started writing, do you find it's a case where when you're out traveling or just when you're out, do you see things that you think, oh, that could be put into a book, or, oh, I could use this in one of my stories?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that goes with people as well as what I see. Different characters and people, especially on my tours, that I might see that might strike me. So I won't name them, but those parts of their character will work into the character of one of the subjects I'm writing about. But yeah, I'm always out exploring, and since my books are set in Arizona, I also do field research. So I'm an outliner, so I outline my books before I write. And so I've got a sense of where I'm going to have my characters and what they're going to be doing in those places. So I'll go to those places, and I'll kind of try to scratch the surface, scratch a little bit past the surface, to figure out, okay, does this work logistically for this scene or that scene? And so you always find the little things that make it a little bit more authentic and hopefully resonate with people who have visited some of these places. So this Whitewater Honeymoon, my last book, they were up at Cameron Trading Post, they were up at Lee's Ferry, all over different stops in the Grand Canyon, even Seligman, Arizona, at the Roadkill Cafe. I have scenes.
The Roadkill Cafe.
Yeah, so I have a lot of fun working in the local color and places in my books.
Nice, and I need to say hello to Clifford Lane. He's watching on our KRIM FM Facebook Live this morning. Clifford always watching, and Clifford is in Southern Illinois. I forget what county you're in, but he works for the sheriff's office, dispatcher there in Southern Illinois. So good morning, Clifford, and happy pre-4th of July to you, sir. So, I would think that between people and just all the different history that we have here in Arizona, you almost have an endless amount of content.
Oh yeah, I mean it's absolutely endless. So so I got a lot of ideas on the back burner and different stories, different histories that you read about in Arizona. That if you kind of blow them up and add some current things to them, they can make a great book. So just endless topics, and the scenery you can write about it as well is pretty remarkable. So a lot of my beta readers that I have really enjoy when I'm writing about the scenery as well in Arizona. So, and I'd like to say hi to Clifford too. I'm an Illinois kid myself. I grew up in Illinois and downstate, as we say, in the middle part of Illinois. So thanks Clifford for tuning in or whatever you're doing.
Yeah, he's watching. He's usually watching our Facebook Live. We stream this program on our KRIM FM Facebook page and also YouTube channel, along with it being on the radio. So that way people, if they would like to watch the interview, or it's easier for them to access it on social media, they can do that.
Yep.
So again, talking with author Paul Johnson from Village of Oak Creek here in Arizona, and he'll be at this year's 8th annual Payson Book Festival, or this year it's the Payson Author and Artist Festival, because there are going to be artists from our Rim Country artists at the Mazatzal Hotel and Casino, and that's July 15th, Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. So it's also want to mention that it is a family-friendly event. There'll be activities for kids, a kids zone there, where they'll be doing activities throughout the day. Also, a lot of children's book authors. So the children, I know, usually have a great time at the book festival, but there's books, just all different types of books. So if you enjoy reading, you enjoy books, I really highly encourage you to get out to the book festival. And one of the really cool things is you get to talk to all of the authors. You get to talk to them, ask them questions. And do you usually, is there a decent amount of engagement at the book festivals, Paul?
Yeah, there absolutely is. I mean, they're usually set up, and we have a table, or we share tables, and we have our books and for sale. But we're really there just to meet you and talk to you, and I'll have a sign-up sheet so you can stay engaged with me afterwards if you'd like on my readers list. But asking me any questions, I talk to people. They're always asking me, well, how did you start writing? Some of the same questions you've been asking. How did you start writing? Why did you start writing? What do you write about? What are your books about? And so you engage with them pretty well. And for me, that's, I like to sell books. Obviously, every author does, but you really like meeting your readers as well. There's nothing like the affirmation we get from talking to somebody who's buying one of your books, or has read one of your books, or is thinking about your book. And so I love to have conversations with people. Mm-hmm.
Do you find, some of your readers, do they ever give you suggestions or say, did you ever think about this?
Yeah, all the time. All the time, especially when, so many people are passionate about our state of Arizona, and and they, like I have, and like you probably have, they've traveled and they've got their own favorite places, and they like to bring those up and say, well, you know what, if you put that character down here, or what if this happened down at Tonto National Forest, or what if this happened at Tubac, so it's kind of like they're always giving you these little ideas. They can't help themselves, and I appreciate that. They actually, some of them have worked their way into my first couple of books.
Mm-hmm. If you get the opportunity, I think you'll be at the book festival all day, so you wouldn't be able to make it out on this visit, I don't think, but there's a really great little museum, the Zane Grey Museum here in Payson, that does a great job of capturing the history of the area, along with having a replica of the Zane Grey cabin that people can tour.
Yeah, it's an excellent museum. I've been there.
You've been it? Yeah, they do a great job.
It's been a few years, but any writer, anybody thinking about writing, if you can go to Paris and visit Brandon Way Road in Arizona, you want to go see Zane Grey Road, right? So,
yes, yeah. They
so getting over near Sedona and a little bit too up in the canyon. So.
Yeah, I think during COVID, towards the end of COVID, is when they redid the museum. They redid the museum, added some displays. So yeah, it's probably worth another visit to see. They brought different items in, and they created a classroom. That's right, Julia Randall's classroom upstairs, because they got a desk, her desk, from when she taught at Julia Randall Elementary School, and some of the students or kids' desks as well. So yeah, it's
I'm always talking to my tour groups and explaining the story behind Xangray's Call of the Canyon, because it was so integral to the modern day history of Sedona and movie making industry. So I always introduce them to Xangray if they haven't already been introduced to Xangray. Mostly the guys that read Xangray when they were younger, probably. Some of the women not so much.
Yeah, I think they were very popular books for the boys, or young guys. Yeah, really enjoyed them. Well, again, talking with Paul Johnson, and he will be at this year's 8th annual Payson Book Festival, or this year, and probably going forward, will be the Payson's Author and Artist Festival, and that is Saturday, July 15th from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the Mazatzal Hotel and Casino. And you can learn more about Paul and all the other authors that are going to be at the festival by visiting the website paysonbookfestival.org, and you can click right on the top of the website, Meet the Authors. You can also view the schedule of events, find out about the Kid Zone that will be there. This is a family-friendly event. It's in the ballroom at the Mazatzal Hotel and Casino, so bring the children, grandchildren. They'll have a great time. And then there's also a link to Paul's website, and that is sedonachi.com, where you can order his books and learn more about Paul, and also the upcoming book that should be released the end of this year, or maybe January. And then I saw on your website too, there's a calendar of events, and you have a release party, a book signing in February. Is that February of next year, 2024?
Yes.
Okay.
It has to be February next year, 2024. And that's probably going to be surrounding my newest book, which will be out by then. So the third book in the series, the one that weaves in some of the history down in the Yucatan area of Mexico, along with Sedona.
Nice. Well, thank you so much again, Paul, for joining us and for sharing about your books. And again, if you'd like to meet Paul when he's up here out at the book festival, stop by his booth, talk to him, chat with him a little bit. And again, it will be a great time. That's July 15th at the Mazatzal Hotel and Casino, the Payson Author and Artist Festival. Well, hope you have a great week, Paul.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
And thank
Appreciate
you.
it. And I look forward to seeing everybody out there.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching this morning. And also a big thank you to Desert Financial Credit Union for sponsoring our KRIM Community Spotlight program. Well, it is time to get back to the music this fine Monday morning. And again, hope everyone listening and watching is having a great morning, whether you have to be at work this morning or if you have the day off. Either way, enjoy it, and hope you have a wonderful 4th tomorrow as well. Again, the 4th of July celebrations in Green Valley Park start, all the activities start around noon, 1 o'clock. Vendors will be out there, and then the concert with the Take Cover Band starts at 4 o'clock and goes until 9, and then 9 is when they have the fireworks display. So again, time to get back to the music with some Genesis, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Foreigner, Elton John, and more. But first, let's get a quick update from the National Weather Service. All right, microphones are off. Great. Oh, that was great. Thank you, Paul.
100 with west winds 5
All right, there you go. Good boy, Chet. Hey, thank you guys. See you later.